I learned an important lesson about how brand positioning works from an old joke, long before I started my consulting career. Way back in 1984, I made what turned out to be the first of many visits to Glacier National Park, up in Montana near the Canadian border. It's beautiful and wild, and one of the few places in the lower 48 with grizzly bears. Being a responsible young hiker, I knew it was wise to check in at the ranger station before heading out on the trail. A kindly old park ranger came outside and asked me, "So, have you ever hiked in grizzly country before?" "No, sir, I haven't." "Okay," he said, "there are 3 important rules to keep in mind. Rule number 1, make noise on the trail. Most grizzly attacks happen when a hiker surprises a bear. If the bear hears you coming, they'll usually get out of the way. So, hang bear bells on your pack, sing Beatles songs, clap, whatever. Rule number 2, if you do come across a grizzly, don't run. Running will trigger a bear's predatory response and they'll chase after you. They may not look like it, but grizzlies are much faster than people. Rule number 3, never hike alone. That way, you don't have to be faster than the bear, you only have to be faster than the people you're hiking with. Yes, it's a very old, very lame joke, but it works. It works because, like many jokes, it depends on a switch of the frame of reference for the punchline. And a frame of reference is what brand positioning is all about. You've seen a 2x2 positioning map before. When you choose the axes for a 2x2 map, you're defining the frame of reference for the positioning. In most cases, that means the product or service category you compete in. To choose the proper axes, you need to consider what is both relevant and differentiating within that specific category. In this case, the category is hiking through a specific ecosystem, grizzly bear habitat. The first 2 rules the ranger told me to follow are what's relevant to the grizzly habitat category. That's like paying attention to what customers in any category say they want. The rules are relevant because they're true, and because they're true, everybody in the category tries to follow them. But when that happens, differentiation all but disappears. The joke's punchline comes from the switch in the frame of reference, because the differentiation isn't in relation to the bear, but from everyone else following the first 2 correct rules. For a very long time, companies have treated their customer audience as if it were the grizzly bear. They follow the rules for their category, and if they're not able to be the fastest runner in the group, they try to at least avoid being the slowest. But what happens when the ecosystem changes? The rules for surviving and thriving in grizzly bear habitat aren't the same if the apex predator is a snake, a crocodile, or a shark. Being a fast runner who can't swim won't help you there. But that's already happened, hasn't it? In our digitally driven economy, traditional category boundaries have melted away, and with them, the definition of what's relevant and who you're competing against. Netflix's positioning went from simply avoiding movie rental late fees, to streaming movies, to producing their own shows. Amazon went from selling books, to selling CDs, to selling everything else, to cloud computing, to streaming movies, to producing their own shows. Disney went from producing their own shows, to theme parks, to cruise ships, to selling their shows to streaming services, to pulling their shows from other streaming services so they could offer their own streaming service. So, going back to the old joke we started with, who should you aim to be? We know that just being the fastest runner in the group, or focusing on any other single attribute, isn't going to last when the category rules keep changing. You might be content to be just another middling member in the group of hikers, and wait until the slow and fast outliers are picked off, but there's no guarantee you won't be next, and greatness is not found in the middle of the pack. Maybe you should be the grizzly, the apex predator that sets the rules within the category that everyone else has to live with. That sounds great until you realize that the apex predator is actually the most vulnerable to change in their ecosystems. Just ask Kodak, BlackBerry, or Sears how true that is. It's easy to overlook the best answer of all. Be the ranger. Think what the ranger does. It's her job to understand the entire ecosystem so she can not only take care of it, but guide those who want to get the best experience from it. So don't try to outrun your competition, out-understand them. Don't ask your customers what you should do next. Use your understanding to show them before they can even think to ask for it. Use your expertise, your data, and your intuition to broaden your field of view to include forces that have an impact on everyone, not just your own neck of the woods. And while you're at it, check in with me before heading out. I'll make sure you're well equipped with the tools and guidance you need. Thanks for watching. See you out on the trail.